And welcome back to All Sports Western New York. In studio with us now, Danny Gare, the hockey legend, of course, on to the all-time Sabre greats. And as we're sitting here doing the show, off camera, his phone is going off. And that's kind of a sissy Mary little ring you got to that phone there. It's like a Tinkerbell ring.
Very, very lighthearted, you know. It's just like the way I am nowadays, you know.
Now, we just had, before the commercial, Lou Picone, who's an old buddy of yours. We were talking during the commercial break. I can remember going into the Playboy Club at the Old Executive on a Monday night, and it would be a mix of Bills and Sabres. You guys all hung out together, had a lot of fun together.
You know, it's funny you say that, because now they call it One Buffalo, right? And I felt back in the day we were One Buffalo with not only the Bills, but even the Braves when they were around. Like Ernie D and McAdoo, we used to hang out with those guys, and we'd go to their games. And the same thing, we'd do a lot of charity benefits, and we'd go to a few bars now and then too. With them.
No,
so, yeah, a couple here and there. But I'll tell you the one thing about it: it really brought, and you understood about the community, because the people, you know, loved their sports, and the fans would always embrace you, and it was great to be around, you know, guys like Chandler, Lou Picone, Tony Green, Reggie McKenzie. And it was just a good group of guys, and everybody did that. It was like you played hard and you worked hard.
Yeah, I remember it was in the 70s, and I went in there on a Monday night with a bunch of buddies from Niagara Falls. And you were in there, and Picone was in there. And from the Green Bay Packers, one of their all-time games, Fuzzy Thurston was visiting town. He was there with Reggie McKenzie and you guys at a table, and you kind of included us. I think we had to buy you 1 or 2 beverages.
That's all right.
To get, that was
about
fine.
Time.
But it was grapefruit juice. I know that because you were in training.
Yeah, I always was.
Yeah.
But then, you know, when we were younger too, we always left there and went. It was a Monday night. We'd go to the Brick Bar.
Oh wow.
That was always a fun night.
So I just saw
we always
you
had Tuesday off, Wednesday we didn't play. So
you know,
pick your spots.
You were young.
It's good to see you though. How you been?
I've been great, and I'm good to see you. And we were just talking during the break. You were part of the Hasek retirement of his jersey, the banner. They raised the banner. You and Renee skated out there. So that was a big night.
It was very nice. You know, Dominic certainly well deserved. A great honor for him, and what all of his accolades. I mean, 2 MVPs, a number of Vezina trophies, and I mean, he was the man here for many, many years. So it was nice to be able to be a part of his evening.
You know, when you're my age, you live many lives. And one of my lives, I was running a radio station, WNSA, here in town, 107.7 FM.
I remember it. I remember.
And we carried the Sabre games, and we did a fantasy game in which we recreated a game between the 75 Stanley Cup Finals and the 99 Stanley Cup finalists. And so you were playing in the game against Dominic Hasek. And I don't remember. I know the game was won in a shootout. Gilbert Perreault scored the final shootout goal. You might have scored a goal in the game, though. But I remember we had the conversation. We did some interviews to recreate the fantasy. How would you have approached Dominic Hasek on a breakaway?
Well, first of all, if I know Dominic, he would say, Daddy, I must see, you know, Lindy, good coach, you know, but I'd probably try to go top shelf on him, you know. I mean, he was always one of these guys that was down low, you know, really attacking the game, and I mean, he did it so well, very unorthodox type goalie, so I'd probably go top shelf, or, you know, depending upon where he was at, maybe low stick side. But those are my spots.
That was one of his strengths, though, where when you thought you had him, he'd throw something up.
That's true.
Yeah.
That was one of his strengths.
A leg or an arm or something would go up and.
You know, just amazing goaltender. But yeah, it's funny. It's our 40th anniversary. You mentioned the '75 team that went to the finals. It's this year, and I was just down south playing golf with Jerry Korab, who still doing very well. King Kong and Donnie Edwards. Rennie Robert. So yeah, a lot of the guys are still around.
So you were like, what, 8 years old when you played in the finals? I didn't know they could
I was the youngest player. I know that. I was the youngest player on the team, but I felt like 8 some nights. Yeah.
How old were you when you joined the Sabres?
19.
19.
Turned 20 when
So now the Sabres, and you know, whether people want to say they've tanked or they're purposely putting themselves in position to get Connor McDavid. You entered the league at 19 years of age, so you know what that's like to be that young and to be out there and basically play with men. So to a lot of people, the Sabres seem to be putting a lot of eggs in a basket. Yeah. They found out with Reinhart this year, he wasn't physically ready to make that adjustment.
True.
It's a gamble.
It is, and you know, the tanking. You know, I know that, you know, that word's used a lot, but it's funny. I don't know of any player, okay, maybe organizationally, you know, you can do it, but any player that plays the game doesn't necessarily go out to tank. I mean, I'd be remiss if any player that I know that has played in the National Hockey League doesn't go out to win every night.
And if you were to do it, you couldn't do it that way.
No, and the thing, sure, some teams are more skilled, some teams are more talented, but you know, you look back at that 14, you know, game losing streak, and it's frustrating, it's disappointing, and confidence you can see from the players, Bob. But I remember my first year when Mike Ilitch bought the team after being traded in Detroit with the Red Wings. He came to me and wanted me to be his captain. And I told him, I said, you know, Mike, these are going to be some trying years. You know, we need to get some good draft picks. They had some good people that are, you know, were drafting at the time. And I said, we also need some veterans. And he brought in Brad Park. He brought in Darryl Sittler. He brought in Tiger Williams. I mean, Reggie Leach came in for a year. But the point I'm trying to make is the fact that, you know, what Tim Murray's trying to do here is his challenge is to, obviously, you have to develop and keep developing these young players, but also having the experience of older players that can help mentor them. And I think that's why he brought in Gianta and Josh Georges and so forth. It hasn't been great, but you know, it's still something you have to continue on that game plan. But we went on to make the playoffs. When they brought in Eisenman and Gerald Gallant, we went on to make the playoffs back-to-back in the second and third year. So it was something that can be accomplished. And you know what that's at the end of the rainbow is, if they're in last place, everybody knows that, is a McDavid or Eichel, so that's what they're looking at.
Yeah, and I think there's only a few cities in the league that would tolerate this, where the fans are still going to come to the game, and buy tickets knowing that they're not going to win.
I agree with that. I mean, this is a passionate hockey town, passionate sports town, but you've seen it in the past with Pittsburgh's did it, the formula, Chicago did it, Steve Yzerman's doing it down in Tampa, same type of thing that he, you know, and look at where their teams are at now. So I think, you know, they're on the right path. It's just a matter of hopefully everybody having a little patience, and hopefully the kids continue to develop.
Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about some possible trades this team might do to improve themselves. And we'll be back with Danny Gare right after this.